Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe. My name is Alvin. I lead right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
My name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Hey guys, so in this video, Alvin and I will be giving you our very, very, very early bipartisan predictions for the 2026 Senate election. So yeah, we're looking ahead here.
Yeah, we're looking really, really ahead. It is currently early January of 2025. Congress has just certified Trump's victory 2 days ago, and really, we're looking far into the future in terms of what's going on in 2026. I think after probably about a year of Trump's presidency, we'll really start to feel how the election's going to go in 2026. But for now, with Trump likely entering his honeymoon period for a while, we won't really know the
Mhm.
amount of backlash that will occur. But what we do know is that there likely will be some sort of backlash against the incumbent party, as there usually is. And so we'll sort of be looking at this map from a perspective of Democrats having a good night, as they're likely expected to after 2 years of probably American souring on Trump. And this is not really a Democrat or a Republican take. It's sort of just an objective take. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's historically incumbent parties usually get thrashed in midterms. So, um, yeah, for some historical precedent here, I mean, like uh, how we're going to try to do this is based on like the last midterm, it was like a 10-point swing left, like 2016 to 2018, the last like blue wave midterm. We have it right now. We're gonna say the environment's gonna be around D+5 in favor of the Democrats, and say about a 7-point swing from 2024, the very red results of 2024. Um, Obviously, it's all up in the air. These are our rough estimates to start, but yeah, let's get into the states themselves here. I think to start right off the bat, we can do like New Jersey here. Here we have Cory Booker running for re-election. We don't really know his Republican opponent yet, but he should be pretty set. He won pretty handily in 2020. I mean, Jersey was pretty close in 2024, with Harris only winning it by 6 points, and it's swinging substantially to the right. But given the conditions of this like being a bluer year, I do think Jersey will kind of come back to its roots, and we'll see a solid Democratic result from an incumbent senator here.
Agreed. If 2025 goes the Republicans' way, or it comes really close in Jersey, then I think we'll relook and move this
Hmm.
rating down. For now, safe blue for Cory Booker. And I think along those lines, we have a lot of states like that. New Hampshire as well, with Chris Sununu, the former governor, declining to run, looks good
Yes.
for uh,
Jean Shaheen.
Shaheen. Yeah, Jean
Yes,
Shaheen
Senator
in the
Shaheen.
state. Yeah, she's generally better than Hassan anyway. We could look at a lot of other states as well that sort of fall in this pretty safe category.
I would say Virginia here for if we're sticking with
Virginia.
Dem states. Um,
Yeah, Virginia, unless Glenn Youngkin runs.
Yes, yes. Mark Warner is a pretty popular senator. He won very handily in 2020. He outran Biden back then. Yes, I think the only way Republicans really stand a chance of like getting it under double digits, under double digit Democrat win here, and a chance to close it up is if Glenn Youngkin runs, because he's obviously a very popular Republican governor there. But if he does not, then I think Mark Warner takes it handily. Um,
Yeah, I don't think
yes.
Youngkin's going to throw away his political future losing this race. He wants to run for either governor again later or even president. So I don't think he'll run for that.
Hmm.
I guess we could probably also just knock out Florida, question mark. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
like Florida, we know that Marco Rubio is on his way out to become our next Secretary of State. But in terms of who will replace him, uh, betting markets are likely looking at Ashley Moody, the Attorney General there. And it used to be Laura Trump that was leading this market back in the day, but she's withdrew her name as well. So it looks like it will be Ashley Moody, at least according to the betting markets. Although Ron DeSantis could do whatever he wants. But either way, the Florida Dems are cooked, and the Republican bench is very deep here, including DeSantis himself, the current very popular governor there. So it looks
Hmm.
like Republicans will easily hold a seat, no matter the fallback from Trump's presidency. It's gone.
Yeah, yeah. Republicans have been winning the state of Florida by double digits for the last what, two cycles now. Yeah, with the way Florida's trending, and the lack of a proper bench Democrats have in the state of Florida, I do think the state is kind of gone, even in a what I expect to be a bluish year in 2026. So yeah, solid red there.
Okay. Do you want to
Yeah,
continue on?
where should we go next? Like, I think oh, maybe Alaska here, honestly, for the next state, because I think that could also be solid here. Because yeah, just like incumbent Republican Senator, um, Dan Sullivan, I believe is, I'm not sure if he's
Mhm.
running for re-election, but if he does, he's very likely going to win that. The only major Democrat that could potentially tap challenge him is Peltola, and I mean, I don't know. It's yet to be seen what she'll run for. I think she's very likely to run for something in 2026. If she runs for senator, though, maybe she can get it under double digits. But just generally, I think incumbent Republican senator, yeah, I think that stays solid
Yeah,
red
Sullivan's
there.
also irrelevant. He has no like controversy or anything, so
Yeah.
he's gonna probably just be fine.
Hmm.
The rest of these seats are at least a little interesting. Maybe we'll go to New Mexico next, which in 2024, I would say some of us, along with New Jersey, New Mexico is probably the next like swing state on the horizon potentially. So this always makes the state like at least, somewhat interesting. And Lujan back in 2020 didn't do amazing, but Mark Ronchetti running against him has good name recognition and was seen as a moderate, so he was always going to be in that sort of likely category. But now I mean, with the big blue wave year, he could probably honestly even get this to safe, although maybe Hispanic trends could move this into likely.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably lean toward putting this in the likely column just to be
Mm,
safe, like, obviously Spanish shifts and stuff. But yes, I wouldn't be surprised if we got to double digits, especially in like a blue wave-esque year. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I think we'll put it there to be a little
Very
more
similar to
conservative
New
on this.
Jersey, honestly. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. Maybe some
Maybe I
Rust
think
belts,
yeah,
maybe some.
Minnesota I think is the next
Yeah.
most similar here. Oh yeah, so we have Tina Smith next. I believe she's running for election. She's up in Minnesota. I generally think she'll be fine. Back when she ran in 2020, she didn't win by too much. She won by like 5 points, but that was with legal marijuana parties taking like 8% of the vote. And since Dems were able to legalize that marijuana for recreational use in the state, that party is no longer a factor. So they should get their vote up from that. And plus, it being a bluer year, I think she's going to be completely fine. Like I see high single digits um, for her here.
Yeah,
Yeah, likely
probably.
blue. Hmm.
All right.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a few options we could have. I mean, looking at this map, I think this is really the sort of realm of targets for either side. Like, let's just talk about that right now. So, really, I mean, Republicans need two more wins on this map to hold their majority because they have the presidency now, and
Hmm.
with that, the vice presidency with JD Vance. So, looking at this map, Democrats need to win six of the following, and Republicans need to win two. So, just looking at the sort of somewhat competitive states, you already see that Republicans are in a very good position. And potentially, I would like to go to Ohio, or maybe Iowa.
Yeah,
Um,
let's start with Iowa. I think that's a little more of a sure
okay, I
thing,
mean
right?
Iowa. Yeah, I mean Iowa. Joni Ernst is in the seat. She's in Republican leadership in the Senate, and I mean Iowa has sort of been gone for Democrats now. I mean, she's gonna run, and so. Yeah, there's actually some like interest in primarying her, like this Wikipedia page states over here, but I think she's gonna turn it around and
Hmm.
she'll be fine. If she is challenged, that could be interesting. But it's probably just going to be like a likely R at worst for Republicans because of how, like this cycle they won the state by 13 points. Seeing this go under 5 would be pretty much impossible. So,
Yeah, I mean, Democrats have like a very, very small bench in Iowa. They do have one statewide official left in Rob Sand, but I think he's angling more to running for governor as opposed to senator. So yeah, like with that, I mean, Democrats don't really have many good candidates in the state. So I would assume, yeah, she's very highly favored here. Probably, I could see her getting high single digits here. Um, yeah, where do we want to go from here? I guess Ohio next. This is another state where the Senate seat is currently being vacated because JD Vance is
mm,
ascending to the vice presidency. Um, it seems like, according to the betting markets at least, it seems like the current governor, Mike DeWine, is leaning toward picking his lieutenant governor to be the next senator. So John Husted. Um, Yeah, Democrats, I mean, I think they're going to, of course, struggle to win the state. I think Trump won this by what, like 11 points? Um,
yeah.
yeah, an 11-point victory. So, yeah, I think Democrats are the underdogs to start here, but it does depend because they have one particularly like really good candidate in Sherrod Brown, the former senator who just recently lost in 2024. Um, if Sherrod Brown were to run, I definitely think this would be a very close race. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see if he does that because I do think Brown stands more of a chance in a bluer year than 2024. But yeah, without us knowing if he's going to run or not, I would just to start, I'd put this in probably likely R.
Yeah, I mean, even in like both the last Senate cycles in Ohio have gone the Republicans' way, around a likely margin, and even in a really good year for Democrats, it'll be tough, even with the best candidate. At that point, maybe we move this down to lean, but seeing as though, he lost this time around, and it's gonna take a bit for Democrats to win the seat, but if he runs, it would be one of their bigger targets, I would say.
Hmm.
And with that, Republicans have already clinched the Senate, so we can move on now to other targets. I think honestly, I'm willing to talk about Georgia. I think this is likely D, in my opinion. I
Oh
mean,
wow,
maybe
interesting.
maybe you'll disagree with me, but if we look at Georgia's race, I don't know if okay, there isn't much information about it. Oh, wait, maybe there is.
There's some,
Like
yeah.
I think it's interesting. Okay, if Brian Kemp runs for the
Exactly,
seat,
yeah.
it
That's what I
will
was gonna
be
mention.
competitive. However, under the same lines that we just talked about Ohio in, we can't assume that at all. And so, with that, I would be putting this in likely D with how the environment's likely going to very
Interesting.
favor Democrats with how the presidential map showed that really even in the best year for Republicans, the Atlanta suburbs still shot left. We're going to see a big shift, I think, in 2026 there, especially with an expected bad year for Trump.
Yeah.
I think with if Kemp runs, we move this down, but just like we did for Sherrod Brown, likely D here.
Okay. I mean, I don't think I'd go that far to start. I mean, he already has like an okay opponent in like I think a representative, Buddy Carter's running against John Ossoff, the current Democratic representative, senator rather. So yeah, I think it's an okay opponent to start. I don't think I'd be bo so bold as to put it in likely D so early on without any polling data or anything. But yes, I do agree. Ossoff is definitely favored no matter who he's running against, even against Kemp. I do think as an incumbent senator and with the state, I think being one of the states where Democrats have more signs of hope, particularly in those Atlanta suburbs, as you mentioned. Yeah, I do think he's favored. So I'd probably put it lean D personally.
Okay, you can put
Um,
it there.
but yeah, like if Kemp runs, yes, it definitely would be a bit closer. Yes.
Okay. Maybe we head over to Texas now. I think that
Y-
looks good for us.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Yeah, you can start
Oh,
off
yeah,
this one.
I'll take Texas here. So I believe John Cornyn is running for re-election, so the current Republican senator. Um, he's grown decently unpopular in the state, especially among Republicans. Um, I think it's in part because he supported like a bipartisan gun reform bill during the Biden administration, which passed under the Biden administration. Um, so yeah, there is some like whispers of like him potentially being primary challenged by the current Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, and there has been some polling floating around that
A
shows
long time ago,
Paxton.
though.
Yeah, that one's so longer ago, but I think there was one more recently also that showed Paxton actually um, being able to beat Cornyn in a primary. But I mean, Cornyn won pretty handily in 2020. I mean, I guess it's in part because the Democrats didn't run that great of a candidate. I definitely, I would say it does depend on who the Democrats run. If they run like a nobody like they did in 2020, um, it's definitely going to be more in Cornyn's favor in the Republicans' favor. But if they run like a more established candidate like Alred, like they did in 2024, or maybe O'Rourke, Beto O'Rourke from way back in 2018, maybe it could shape it up to be closer. Overall, I would say probably likely are to start. And if it depends on the Republican primary too, because if Paxton's in, I think it could get even closer. But yeah, I'd say
Correct.
probably high single digits for
With
now.
current information, high single digits. With future information, like Ohio and Georgia, we can move these down for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think with the state of how 2024 reversed all of the gains that Democrats were making in Texas, likely ours already pretty good for Democrats, considering how shifts might go even further for Hispanics. We'll be seeing how that goes. All right, let's move on to the final three states, which I think are the most interesting. And potentially we go to Michigan.
Yeah, I think we
I
start with Michigan.
because of how it's a Democrat held seat and it's a Democrat good year, I think this is probably the least controversial of the remaining states. So we'll go there right now. And Michigan, um, it's interesting, just like the remaining seats, especially because Gary Peters didn't win by too much in 2020. However, John James is a good
Yeah,
opponent. I don't know where I went, but I guess there's nothing left there. But John James was a good opponent. What? What's up?
yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I don't think we're really certain if Gary Peters is going to run again in 24. I'm curious to see if he does. Even if he doesn't, I think the Democrats have a really healthy bench in Michigan, just with so many statewide officials. But yeah, I guess we'll see what he does. But I think either way, Democrats are quite favored. I think in off years, I mean, like in 2022, for example, Democrats did stupid well in Michigan, way better than they should have, to be honest. Like winning by double digits, it was like a mini blue wave in what should have been a red wave year. So I do have hope for the Michigan Democratic Party. I do see a reality where Gary Peters pushes this to a likely margin, but I think he's definitely favored. I'm curious to see who the Republicans run. I wonder if they would run John James, but I don't know if they'd risk losing his seat, because if he were to run for senator of the state, his seat would obviously be open in what would be a bluish year. I don't think Republicans would really want that. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure who Republicans would really run, but to start, I don't know. I'm kind of between lean and likely here in favor of the
Let's
Democrats.
go likely. I mean, I already put Georgia and Lean. I think these two are they look good for Democrats in my opinion. But I mean, in general, I think looking at this map for now, looks like Democrats will be holding at least all of their seats. So that part is good, the good news. The bad news is knocking off Republicans. And they already have 51 seats, so Republicans will be holding a Senate in most circumstances. But in terms of North Carolina and Maine, these are seats that Democrats really, really, really want to win, but it's going to be tough for them. And really, I mean, we can talk about either one, but I guess I'll start with North Carolina, right? I mean, that
Yeah,
we want to end with Maine, clearly, so we should
yeah,
probably
I
talk
I
about North
agree.
Carolina. And North Carolina, Tom Tillis has declared he will run for re-election. He potentially could get challenged. It is possible, but not by Mark Robinson. So that is that. But in terms of North Carolina, like if he gets challenged, I think that will be good for Democrats. The incumbent senator running will be good for Republicans if he holds on to the challenge. And on the Democrat side, if Roy Cooper runs, the governor, I guess he just left the governorship there, but he will be a very strong candidate against, you know, or Jeff Jackson as well, the now Attorney General. Both of them would be very strong candidates against Tom Tillis or a
Yeah.
potential challenger. This could be a good year. However, Democrats generally tend to choke on the federal level, so this would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure when the last time a North Carolina statewide like I mean I don't know a race as
Federal
important as senator
office,
or governor,
yeah.
yeah, federal office has been up during a blue wave year. I feel like it's kind of just been dodging that because obviously they were up in 2022 and 2020 but missed 2018, which is the last blue wave year. So I actually do have hope that the Democrats can flip this. It already seems that one an incumbent, well, a departing representative is going to be running for senator. So Wiley Nickel is going to be running, likely in all likelihood. And if Roy Cooper, the governor who was term limited, if he runs, I definitely think Dems are favored. But either way, I actually think Democrats are the slight favorites going into this, just because I think it might be too blue of a year for Tillis to overcome. Um, so yeah, I honestly, I'd probably my gut says lean D personally. Um, yeah, where do you reckon?
I think without Roy Cooper declaring yet, I'll put this in tilt.
Okay,
Like potentially, if Roy Cooper declares we'll move this into lean, it does look good for Democrats, but this is the exact same speech that I heard from you before this year's general election, and uh, guess what happened? It didn't happen. So
that's
we'll
true.
see. But North Carolina, it's teasing you every single time this comes up. You're like, this is the year, but I don't know if it's the year. But for
I
now,
mean, it's
tilt.
gonna be 2026.
It looks
2026.
like
It's
the
feeling good.
year,
It's feeling good.
but it
We'll
might
see. We'll
not be the
see.
year. Yeah, we'll see. But let's head up to Maine, which uh, I guess I'll let you take this one because you love ranked choice voting as well. So
Oh yes. I forgot they do that for those elections. Yes. Okay. So it seems like in Maine, the incumbent Republican Senator Susan Collins is going to be running for re-election. Um, Now Maine's interesting because it's a typically blue state, and she's a Republican senator in a blue state. Um, Yeah, Democrats, I think, I like. Oh, and another factor I should probably mention also is Maine has ranked choice voting. So essentially, you get to rank your candidates, and the least vote getting candidates eliminated, and it's basically cycles until a candidate makes it to 50% of the vote. Democrats are going to be in an interesting position here because I do think they have a couple candidates that can unseat the deeply popular Susan Collins in the state. I reckon that Jared Golden, a representative from Northern Maine, I think he could do it. He's one of the more conservative Democrats, so I think he could beat Collins. And I do think Janet Mills, the incumbent governor, who I believe is term limited, if she decided to run for Senate, I believe she could also beat Susan Collins. But other than that, I'm not really sure. I beyond that, even in a blue wave year, I think Collins is a very, very strong incumbent. Like in 2020, with Biden winning the state by 9 points, I believe she won it by a pretty decent margin. Yeah, like 7 points, 7, 8 points. So yeah, I
this actually
genuinely
looks like
think,
nine, right? But yeah, it's
well,
actually 9 points.
yeah, she won by a very
I mean,
large
yeah.
margin back then. So yeah, I still think she's favored, but I do think it depends on who her opponent is. So for now, I think tilt R. Um, yes.
Yeah, we'll see how this race ends up. The closer we get, the better it'll be. There's no polling, but if I could remind you of the 2020 polling, this is how it looked like when we were going into the final stretch of the 2020 Senate race between Sarah Gideon and Susan Collins, and this whole polling thing was blue. And guess what the result ended up being? So really everyone ended up, predicting, oh, this is Collins' year to get knocked off, especially with ranked choice voting. But no, she ended up doing really well. She ended up winning over 50% of the vote in the first round. So there wasn't even any ranked choice voting triggered. So yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
tilt R, maybe even lean R could be given for her in, being an electoral juggernaut. I think this is a state that Democrats might invest in a lot and then just end up being rejected. But if with a good candidate, we'll put some uncertainty into this race, especially in a blue wave year. But I mean, look, Biden's popular vote victory was, it was pretty decent, and we saw how it went for Democrats in the state anyway, with a good candidate in Sarah Gideon, right? She's like the Speaker of the Maine House, so
Yeah.
look, it's tough. So, anyways, 52 seats for Republicans, although. With this map, it could be as low as 51, or I guess maybe even as high as 54 potentially. Flipping Georgia would be the best case scenario. Democrats' best case scenario would be sweeping Maine as well, and probably their ceiling's at 49 right now. Really, we're looking ahead at until 2028 for Democrats to retake the Senate with how well Republicans did this year. Their majority seems pretty solid, at least for the entire Trump presidency. So,
Yeah. I mean, obviously a
yeah,
lot can happen because this is a very,
sure.
very early prediction map. I mean, who knows? Maybe Trump just does a really great job. Everybody's happy, and then, maybe it's not the bluish wave we're predicting here. Yeah, so and obviously we're going to be monitoring special elections. We're going to be monitoring the 2025 governor's races and kind of seeing if there is a backlash to the Trump administration, and then yeah, seeing how this map evolves. Yeah.
Agreed. If Trump has a high approval rating in the high 40s, even maybe in the 50s, ooh, this could get interesting for Republicans. But until then, we won't really know what's happening. A lot of candidates haven't even declared. So we'll check in on you with this probably in a few months. We might have a little more information on a few of these races. They'll trickle in. Candidates will start declaring, and then we'll give you the scoop on that. But for now, our initial projections here: 52 Republicans, 48 Democrats. Republicans maintain control of the Senate, and that is it. So make sure to leave a like on this video down below. Comment down below any future suggestions for videos as we're looking for ideas into the new year with no elections. Um, Subscribe to the channel down below and ring that bell for notifications. But thanks for watching and share this video with your family and friends.
See you guys.